Seems he's always looking for something unusual or something that sets Northeast Ohio apart from the rest of the world.
Yes, and today in his My Ohio, Leon Bibb has found something so special, you probably use it, but maybe you don't think much about how it got to you. And Leon, this story is as sweet as can be.
Well, my brothers in broadcasting, this is one of the sweetest stories I've ever covered in my career. So sweet it touches tongues with a sugary taste. So sweet you know before you even get there, it is a delicacy breathed in from the air. A perfume, but mostly something for your tummy. So bring your appetite along with you. Steam is wafting through the roofline of the old shed. On this day, it lifts easily into the Northeast Ohio skies. It knows the way. From this wooden structure, steam has followed this route for many decades. Surrounding the wooden walls of the shed is more wood, a thick stand of maple trees. Here it is the ancient story of give and take. Trees give it away, and the old shed takes it in.
Right now we are cooking the sap down. When the sap comes out of the tree, it looks just like water.
It is the season of sap collection. We are among the maple trees of Chadron, Ohio. At Richard's Maple Products, sap flows lazily, bound for its journey into maple syrup, which will pour its way onto breakfast table pancakes and waffles. The cooker is hot under the watchful eyes of Jen Freeman and Matt Barham. Once sap collecting buckets were tapped into the trees. Now the sap is welcomed down tapped in plastic lines, crisscrossing the stand of maples.
We place taps into the trees and hook them up to the lines. And once those are in, we turn on our vacuum pump down in this house and it sucks all the sap in.
As the sap is boiled, its water evaporates into a steam, perfuming the sugar house with maple sweetness. The lives of Jen Freeman and Matt Barham are steeped in this steam, brother and sister. Fourth generation of family-owned Richard's Maple Products. They know what gives in their 5 acres of giving maple trees because they were both born in the long shadows of the maple.
I was born during Maple Festival. I fought them all growing up so I could be in here.
Richard's Maple Products began in 1910. 25 years later, founders Will and Rena Richards took their syrup to Cleveland's Great Lakes Exposition, where their syrupy sweetness sold like hotcakes, you could say. At Exposition's end, when a building was torn down,
they bought the buildings after it was disassembled, which is where the wood from our sugar house and the interior of the store comes from. Yeah.
So the old sugar house still handles the sap. We are making syrup here, sister. A lot of work here, brother. 43 gallons of sap must be boiled down to get 1 gallon of syrup. Some of the syrup is blended into maple sweets on Richard's shelves. Not only the taste, but the smell will ring in the customers.
I like to make things without using real sugar, so maple syrup is my sweetener.
I like to put it on my salmon. I like to just add salads.
It adds a great deal.
It does, it does.
Maple sap by many hundreds of gallons here. With the syrup, Dave Rennie has the candy-making job today, keeping a watchful eye on what will be maple candy.
Are you eating the candy as you make it, or?
I haven't even noticed.
Dave married into the family, left California for his Chardon wife, who was born into the maple business. For Dave, it has been 43 years working sap into syrup and candy. Richard's Maple Products is an old story. Taking sap from the trees is far older. Legend has it that thousands of years ago, a Native American was walking through the woods, took his tomahawk and threw it, and it stuck into a maple tree. Sap came out, and then more sap. He tasted it, and it was sweet. So somebody said, let's boil it. They boiled it, and maple syrup was born. They've been boiling it ever since. Good maple syrup only comes from just part of the country. Northeast Ohio is prime for it. Maple trees need certain weather conditions to get the sap going. Nights of a freeze followed by days of a thaw.
That thaw in the afternoon, when it gets up in the 40s and 50s, it heats that tree up and creates so much pressure in there, it forces that sap up the trunk of the tree.
The lines carrying the sap from the trees to a collection point are symbolic of life here. This story of sap and syrup is also about family. Just as these sap lines are tied to nature's offerings, They are also kind of a bloodline to the ancestral past. The lines and the trees linked to great-grandparents Richards, who knew these maples when they were just saplings.
There's definitely some trees that great-grandma and grandpa tapped, and they spent so much time in the sugar house. Yeah, you can feel them.
A story from Chadron, Ohio, where the melting winter snows of the rolling landscape are running, and the sap of the late winter, early spring is flowing. Before we part, an interesting side story. Matt Barham, you met him in our story, is a veteran of the U.S. military. Well, when he served in the Army in Iraq, his family sent him packages filled with the family's maple syrup. Well, the guys in Matt's Army unit got a taste of the good stuff. "We don't want no Army syrup no more," they said. "Pass us the maple from Chadron." Well, it was the sweetness of maple syrup from Chadron for soldiers a long way from home and for the rest of us here in my Ohio.
How about that? You've got stomachs growling over here, Leon.
Yeah, mine too. Oh, it was sweet. I should have brought more.
With some pancakes on the side.
Oh, brother, you're touching my heart.
Breakfast